I'm Richard Porter.
I'm Johnny Smith.
And this is Smith and Sniff, a podcast in which two friends talk about cars and many other things. Right then, for the first time ever in one of these podcasts, we're going to do a stitch back to last time when you were going to tell the story of dropping your brother off at the station in an Ioniq 6.
Oh, yeah.
We ran out of time, so we left it on a cliffhanger that's possibly a bit shit. Anyway, go ahead.
Good. After a second when you said you need to finish the story that you didn't finish, I thought you meant the one about the teaspoon in the bottom in Germany.
No.
Okay,
all right. Don't want to hear that.
So yeah, Ioniq 6. I was up in Cumbria with my bro Greg. We'd filmed a double barn find, which will come out quite soon actually, and or it might have just come out because I can't remember how these timings work. And the next morning, I was on my way to another barn find, but I had to drop him off at a railway station because he was going back home for a good mate's birthday party, and he didn't want to miss it and all that. So,
which railway station was this? Kendal?
Do you know what? The Premier Inn was in Kendal, and there was a railway station right next to it. But we decided to drop him off at the station, which is really close to where I was doing the next barn find, which is in. Oh, hang on. Do you really need to know? It's about it's about 10 miles away.
I thought it just sets the scene because I've been to Kendal Station, so it would enable me I'm sure some listeners have as well, to enable us to picture it. But don't worry, it's not important.
This station was one of those proper one-horse town railway stations.
Okay.
To the point.
Does that mean you can pull up right outside?
Yeah, it does. It also means that I totally overshot it. So let me explain how. So,
because it's a ramp and you have to do a jump to get into the car park.
We went to bed really quite late, and my brother was knackered, so he went to bed before anyone had set an alarm and things. I did the whole what time should I set my alarm, working back from when we need to get gone and when this and that needs to happen. Anyway, might have set the alarm a little later, but not too late to allow just a bit of relaxing in the morning. But the thing is, I forgot about my brother's thirst for at least a 2-stage breakfast. So we went downstairs for breakfast, and he had a 2-stager, which was, in case listeners are unaware, it's I'm going to go cereal, and then I'm definitely going to go full cooked breakfast, and then I might back it up with some other sort of accessories, breakfast accessories.
But this is standard hotel breakfast behaviour, right?
I think, I don't know. Is it? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you have the cereal as an amuse-bouche, and then you go back for something cooked if they're offering it.
Well, it's a 2-stager. It's stage 2 breakfast.
Yeah.
And Greg loves a 2-stager. So, Kirkby Stephen is the name of the railway station. I've just looked it up. Who sounds like could be, I don't know, a commentator for ice hockey. But
yes. Yeah.
Kirkby Stephen. It's a very, very small railway station.
I think if he was a commentator for ice hockey, he would call himself Kirkby Steven.
Oh, Steven, yeah.
Steven, yes. Kirkby Steven.
Yeah.
It's the Devils versus the ring pieces, and so it goes on.
It's the O-rings versus the Jubilee clips. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
So what happened is we got into a bit of a breakfasty chat, and then I suddenly realised that we should have already left, really. And I did what I didn't want to do. And I don't know if anyone's listening to this has got a brother or a sister, and you have that sort of sibling. You've probably got it with your brother. There's a bit of a sibling bickering, which might always be underlying a certain situation, like one of you's more organised than the other, one of you's, I don't know, perhaps a little bit more but clock watcher than the other, etc., etc., etc. So I didn't want to tell Greg, shit, I've screwed this up, so I said, right, we need to go now. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. So we went and quickly got the bag from the hotel room. I was sharing a twin room with him, and he was like, "Oh, I might just go for a plop." I went, "Well, you're gonna have to make it a really quick one. Right, come on, let's go, quick, come on." Well, post breakfast, you never check out of your room before breakfast. It's a fool's game.
When we were filming for Top Gear and the Grand Tour, and be staying in the hotel with the presenters, and so I would often have breakfast with them. Use breakfast as a verb. I would often breakfast with them. And then we'd go, all right, okay, better get moving. Call time is 9 o'clock or whatever.
Yeah.
And then James May and me would go, I'll just go and get my bags from my room.
Yes.
And TV's Jeremy Clarkson's always like, why don't you just bring your bags down before you have breakfast?
Oh,
and it's
no.
like, what kind of animal does that? Because if you go back to your room, it means you can brush your teeth.
It means you can brush your teeth, exactly. Or it means if you need to use the lav, you've got private lav facilities, which you've paid for. Which you've paid for, and no worries. No worries
and
there
what
at
a
all.
bigger... There can be no bigger fuck you to hotel staff than bespoiling your room just before you leave it.
I don't mean with the Thames trout. I mean...
I see. Just go for a quick... Yeah, because you've had a couple of coffees and maybe an orange juice. And
exactly.
No, it's a good point. But yeah, every single time we stay in a hotel, we're like, right, okay, we better get going. And then...
And Jeremy was like, I can't believe you're doing
Jeremy
this.
going, just bring your bag down with you when you come for breakfast.
It sounds like Tiff. Maybe it was
yes,
old.
I imagine.
Maybe it was old school Top Gear rules. Maybe the original '90s Top Gear presenters were like, "You have to bring your bag down. It's the law."
Oh yeah. If Tony Mason was here, he'd have already put his bag in the car before he came to breakfast.
And the car's on choke, just high idling.
He's left
outside,
the car idling
while he's on his
old school.
while he's on his 8th rasher of bacon hurriedly.
Entirely meat-based breakfast with the Cortina idling on full choke outside.
So we rush down, dive across the road, get in the car, and I'm really pleased with myself because I fully charged the Ioniq 6 that night. There was a charger just around the corner from the hotel. Although just the 200-meter sprint back from the car park to the hotel, I got absolutely soaked. We had the kind of monsoon rain that came out of nowhere. And, idiot here was just wearing a T-shirt. And it looked like I dived into a nearby river. When I turned up at the hotel room, my brother was like, have you just been, skinny dipping? What on earth have you done? I'm like, no, it's really raining outside. And so we did that. Got in the car, drove around the corner, and we saw Kendal Station. And Greg was like, oh, is this the railway station? I went, no, this isn't it. It's about 10 miles further along. Long story, but it's near. And then Greg, I said to Greg, I sort of turned to Greg. He could see I was starting. I said, look, I'm going to have to really press on. I think I've screwed up the timings. And if you look at the sat nav, I've just set it. And it says that we're going to get there 9 minutes after your train goes. And I said, I don't know if I can make 9 minutes up in 12 miles.
No, that's a tough target. But then also, hang on, how long was his plop? Because he has to bear some of the blame for this, surely.
Do you know what? He was all right with that. He was fairly swift. I mean, it's not like I was outside the door tapping on it constantly like a little child going, come on, chop, chop, let's get this done. But so he looked at me and he went, seriously? And I went, listen, Greg, it's my fault. We dilly-dallied at breakfast. I just wasn't paying attention to the clock. And he was actually all right with it. He went, you can make that up though, can't you? You reckon you can make that up? And I went, I don't know if I can make 9 minutes up in a really short drive. So anyway, I just said I did that kind of film thing of I just went, right, hold on, let's try. And I'm not so I'm proud of it, but we had a barn find load of stuff in the boot. This is a saloon car, the Ioniq 6, so it's all I had tools, fuel, batteries. What's the worst that could happen? All sorts. And I said, we're going to have to be on this now. On these back roads out of Kendal. Beautiful moor roads. Cumbrian roads. Oh. Well, I was on it. I was fully on it. I was annoyed because on the one hand, I wanted to hypermile so I could get home with loads of miles left at the end of the shoot that day. But of course, I was squirting it all straight onto the road, all the volts. I put it in spout mode and everything. Even Greg was like, "God, this thing's really impressive, isn't it?" I went, yeah, it's good. Anyway, let's do less chat, more drive. Got stuck behind a Tiguan and was absolutely seething for about 3 minutes. I'd made up 2 minutes really early doors and then just lost 2 minutes behind a dilly-dallying Tiguan that was clearly taking photos of the scenery as it was going along. Managed to nip round that bad boy. I think Tiff would have been quite impressed with my helmsmanship, actually. So anyway, it says we're coming up to the station, and I have made it up so it says I am going to get there at exactly the same time. 8:48. 8:48. But we're coming round this corner, and I'm going, we're still in the middle of nowhere, Greg. I don't get this. We're still in the middle of nowhere. Greg went, look, there's a railway bridge. It can't be far away from the railway bridge. And I went hot under the railway bridge because it was on the top of a big moorland hill.
Yeah.
And then dive down the other side, and my sat-nav instantly went, you're there. You're at your destination. And I went, what? And I went, Greg, it's there. And he looked back, he went, the station is just on the bridge. It's just like basically, it's a porter cabin on the bridge that you've just gone under at some knots. And I had to do a full, hazard warning light emergency stop. I did. There was nowhere to do a U-E. I just had to do one of those U-Es using just the curbs at either side of the road. Meanwhile, there was a farmer's pickup truck coming up the hill, hot, with a load of sheep in a trailer. I'm like, I am not getting stuck behind that. We can't. Quickly,
not on my watch.
You know when the car won't go into R and won't go into D quickly enough with your foot on the brake pedal. You're like, go quick R, quick D, quick R, quick D. And I blat the I6 into this gravel car park where I said to Greg, why don't you just run up those steps? He went, no, you drive around where the taxis go. The taxis are always really close. So I just came in hot to where the sort of taxi rank U-bend is. And honestly, we just did it, and my brother was flailing behind him for his hold all, and the train came into the station. It just one of those 2-carriage really lonely slow trains.
Yeah. Was it a clutch slipper?
It was a proper clutch slipper, and actually, I clocked the guy that was the train driver had an exceptionally long short sleeve shirt on. Does that make sense?
Which bit was long?
So the arms on a short sleeve shirt are supposed to be over the elbow.
Yeah,
above the elbow.
Above the elbow.
Above the elbow.
These were not these. So it was a mid sleeve shirt.
Yeah, but then I looked at whether the sort of shoulder line sewn joins are, and they were really low. So I think he just got given the wrong shirt for his job.
Because I once went into a popular fashionable clothing shop, and I just wanted a white shirt. Just a plain white shirt.
Impossible.
And there was one on the rack. I took it into the change room. I tried it on, and it was a mid-sleeve.
Well, we've all been called one of those.
An absolute... Well, this is the thing. It made you look like a mid-sleeve. It was just... I can't get on with this at all. It's neither here nor there. So I put it back.
It just looks like you say, last-minute borrowed clothes because someone vomited on you and you had to get to work.
I washed only the sleeves of this shirt a bit too hot, and they've shrunk. The body, fine, but the sleeves, they've become child size.
Well, answer me this. So, if you had to, would you go sleeveless T-shirt or elongated sleeves, that sort of no man's land like you've just talked about?
I'd go elongated sleeves.
Yes.
Sleeveless shirts, as we've discussed, possibly not on the podcast, but certainly in real life. You have to have the physique for a sleeveless shirt of any sort.
Yes, and I don't have that.
I think they're a bit off-putting anyway, even... it just... I don't know.
I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
Just go, no. On men. Like, women, absolutely fine, because I think it's apart from anything else, it's just that sort of... You've got a bit of shoulder hair going on. I don't think anyone wants to see that.
No, nobody wants to see that. You're absolutely right. No, women can carry it off. I think the sort of the frame of a woman, it just suits it better. Unless you're a guy that's, if you're Daniel Craig and you put a sleeveless T-shirt on, you can probably carry it. They're an aggressive form of clothing, unnecessarily aggressive, I think.
Yeah.
We've gone off track.
As pit, you're seeing too much pit as well. I think that's the thing. Isn't it?
Yeah.
You're getting sight and possibly smell of pit that you don't need. So
we've gone off track a little bit.
Put your sleeves on.
So we're in the we're in the taxi rank. Greg was flailing behind over his shoulder to try and get his hold all, but couldn't quite reach. So dived out the car. I dived out the car. I'd left it in. The car's still on. I'd left it in park, and it locks the back doors. And we did that whole and there are those flush door handles that pop out to try and So Greg runs round and can't open the door and just basically bellows at me, "I can't open the door. What sort of shit is this?"
He's losing valuable seconds here.
Oh, I mean, this is DEFCON 1. It is absolutely on, and I just go no, and I'm running in, dive into the centre console, and you know that bit where you cannot see where the unlock button is.
Oh,
it's where's the unlock?
In an unfamiliar car, when you need it in an emergency, the lock button runs off.
Yeah, so. I look for it. I give myself maybe 2 seconds to look. I'm a man. I can't see it. So I just logically, I dive between the seats and just physically open the door from the inside, just like a dad would in the 90s.
Fast thinking, Smith. I like it.
And so my brother grabs the hold all and just winks at me. He goes, "I can't believe we did that," and runs off. And I wave to him like a mother and child as the thing slips its clutch out of this very lonely station. And honestly, then I have sort of a post-traumatic syndrome. I have to sit in the taxi rank car park for a while the Ioniq 6 brakes are ticking a little bit. Let's just say Regen didn't quite cut it on that journey. And although I did have it in third setting of Regen. And I was like, I can't believe I made that time up. That was amazing. And Greg got on the thing and all was good. And then I went on to do a really lovely, quite emotional One Family from New barn find, which was nice. And
what a day.
Yeah, and that was before 9. So, I mean, and also I think Greg did text me to say, those roads, whilst epic, not great after 2 breakfasts when you're very late. So I don't know if any listeners can relate to the fact you go and you have a heavy hotel breakfast and then you've got to be on it in a car or a motorbike or even running. You've got to run and you didn't realise you needed to run
after a big hotel breakfast, surely.
I've run after a massive airport lunch and then realised that the gate which I needed to get to was much further away. Much further away, and I've not factored in that sort of extra 15 minutes, and I can't claw that time back. So I've just done a full sprint, inappropriate shoes, smart trousers, lots of sweat, really just going for it, barging people out the way, trying to preempt. It's like the racing line. You're picking the racing line in an airport.
Oh yes,
where you're trying to work out people coming up from behind. Are people going to stray to the left? Are they going to stray to the right? We don't know.
Yeah, you've got to read the traffic.
You have to read the foot traffic, don't you?
I had this once in Copenhagen. I went to Copenhagen for the weekend.
For sure.
Lovely place. And with some mates. And then everyone else had gone home already. And for some reason, me and one friend stayed till Monday. And we went for a lovely lunch. I think there might have been quite a lot of sausage involved, but we also had some beers in this nice little bar that we found. We were like, we've got loads of time. So we
wonderful!
Quite a bit of beer and quite a lot of meaty produce.
Sausage and beer.
I said to my mate, "What time's our flight? It's like 3:30," and he went, "Yeah, I think so. Hang on, let me check." And then he just went, "Oh no, it's not. It's 2:30," and we were like, "Shit, it's lunchtime already." So straight outside, into a cab, to the airport, and then we ran through the airport, and I've never felt more like thundering in my life. It was horrendous.
Track day, it can only be likened to the track day full stomach syndrome. Nobody wants a track day full stomach.
You can't do that. No. I could have sworn we had a message from somebody about being sick, which I don't know why I'm so eager to read it out.
Was it Jimmy DeVille? Jimmy DeVille's always good at being sick on a track day in a car.
Is he?
Yeah. when we were
Did you
filming
get very,
Fifth Gear.
very car sick?
Oh yeah, he would Technicolor yawn when he went out with Plato numerous times.
Oh.
Had to stop the car and properly jettison. Yeah, awful. He wasn't
Wow.
proud of it. Did it once in a bag for life, actually, come to think of it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. These poor bags for life, they're getting misused. They really
They
are.
get a rough ride, don't they? Yeah. That's
Poor things.
crikey. Now, I was actually your talk of dropping your brother at the station was just reminding me of something I wanted to talk to you about. I've been meaning to bring up for a few weeks, which is the act of beeping goodbye.
Oh, okay.
Do you ever do that?
So you've already hugged, shook hands, kissed someone goodbye. You've
Yeah.
walked out of the house or the building, got into the car, and then you're driving away doing the look back.
Yeah.
If in the case of my parents, they always come out to say goodbye. It's very traditional.
Yes.
Dad
Yeah, it's good,
almost
isn't it?
walks up the road a little bit as well.
He starts running alongside the car.
Yeah, sort of railway children's
Like in a
spec.
Rocky movie.
Yes.
Oh, Railway Children, yes. That's
And
yes,
then-
exactly.
And it is lovely. So, yeah, doing the beep. It's
Just a little, and it's got to be quite light, repeated pressure on the horn.
yes,
boss.
it's not a blast. is it?
Yeah, you don't just hold it down.
It's a pipit. It's a pipit to pip pipit to pip.
Yeah,
Pipit to pip.
pip. But I've never done it. And the other day, I can't even remember where I was. I was driving away from somewhere, and I was suddenly consumed with a desire to do it, and I stopped myself. But I was like, I've never been a beeper goodbye. Is it something that comes to you in older age that you suddenly go, that'd be nice now, a little bit of light beeping. That'd say goodbye, wouldn't it?
Aw.
I'd leave them something to remember me by. Bip, 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 bip. Because I'm pretty sure that when people used to come and see my parents when I was a kid, there was a bit of...
Pipit to pip.
Because I grew up in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, me
and
too.
So quite often, people would be parked outside the house facing the wrong way. So they'd go down to the end of the street, turn around, and then as they went back past the house, prime
Yeah.
beepity beep 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 territory, and you'd still be on the doorstep. Because it looks rude to go in the time it takes them to turn around and go back past your house.
It does. It does.
So you just have to stand there almost like the royal family on a balcony with your arms kind of just like those good luck cats from Japan just waving
Yes.
in a sort of metronomic way.
It is,
And
it's
then,
true,
and then
isn't
there
it?
they go, bip, 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 and you go, wait. Or even, do you know what combines well with the beep?
Pipit to pip pip. It's got me the
Window
down.
and an arm out wave.
Well, that's what I was going to say. There's your other option. Your other option is avoiding the
you could do
horn.
both.
You could do, if there's numerous people in the car as well, one person could have one job whilst the other does the horn. But I tend to favour now window down, arm out. And the reason why I do this, and this is very interesting, is just to get a last minute bit of fresh air in before the windows have to go up for full aero. So, because you know I'm not going to be using the air conditioning. So therefore,
No.
it's a case of I just want to get a last gulp. Well, to be honest with you, I mean, the ultimate 80s cul-de-sac goodbye would be the bib-a-bib-bib, but also you'd have a full sunroof and you'd put not one, but several people's arms out of the sunroof. Wouldn't that be good?
But hang on, it's the 80s. There's a good chance it's an aftermarket sunroof and it only tilts but doesn't slide. So how are you getting? You're going to have to like snake arms, or just your fingers just waggling out of the rear aperture.
If you've
as you
got a
drive
narrow
off.
elbow, you can get it out, but by
Yeah.
Jove, you won't get it back in.
It's not coming back in again. Dad, you're right. Yes, I'm fine. Marjorie, get the goose fat.
And then you
My arm's trapped in the aftermarket sunroof again.
And then you've got to get your passenger to indicate, because your left hand, which operates most of the stalks on the steering column, is trapped with your elbow in the sunroof. So you go, could you just indicate for the, as we come out of the
Indicate,
junction?
please. Just going to go left here. Just indicate for me, would you please? Thank you. It's
very
no need to
awkward.
make a fuss about it. Of course, some of those tilt-only sunroofs, you could take them out entirely, couldn't you?
You could. I had a friend with an MG Metro who could do that.
But I think there's a problem here when you're friends of the family and you're going,
Yeah.
you needed to do that while you're putting the bags in the car, which is in-person goodbye,
Yeah.
because you can't have the whole family gather on the doorstep to wave you off, and then you spend 3 or 4 minutes faffing about putting a sheet of glass in a bag.
And then choosing
That's
which
just-
cassettes you're having for the journey,
Yes,
which CDs.
it's just awkward. Yeah. Are you actually going? Because we're going back in if you're not.
Yeah, shit.
It
I
doesn't
thought this
work.
was goodbyes. It's not totally goodbyes. What have you going to?
It's not goodbye.
Is one of you going to have a
seem to
poo?
be removing.
You're going back in. You need the toilet. Oh, okay. This is all good now. It is. Do you know what? I didn't expect us to talk about this today. I'm having such a deja vu of 80s like goodbyes from house as the kid. It was absolutely right. Most people would park facing the end of the cul-de-sac and then have to do the sort of drive-by.
Yeah.
Drive-by. Yes.
Drive-by. Bye.
Drive-by. And yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it. But also, if they had an interesting car, it would give you a second look as a boy.
Yeah.
Who was untrusted in cars. You'd have a second look.
Yeah.
Or if it had a throaty exhaust, you'd hear it a bit better because you'd get a full fly pass, wouldn't you?
Yes.
I'm just thinking.
Yes, which, like, my Uncle Alwyn, a Volvo stalwart throughout the 80s, and then suddenly, out of left field, got a BMW 5 Series.
Oh, you said, I remember. Yeah.
Which sounded great. I think it was a 535, an E34. It was nice, but
It
do something else my Uncle Alwyn used to do. He, for some reason, in the Volvos, the dashboard sort of lent itself to this. When he parked, he used to leave one of those soft demisting dusters.
Yes.
Hanging over the stereo so people couldn't see the stereo.
A duster over the fascia of the radio.
Yeah, but it's because I think the Volvo dash had a kind of ledge above the stereo, so it allowed this curtain of cloth to hang in a natural way over the stereo. I suppose the idea being that then thieves couldn't peer in and see if it had a stereo or what kind of stereo, so they would be deterred from breaking in. But it's just like, I've never seen that done before or since.
No, I thought you were going to say to stop the sun from heating up the top of the steering wheel or the dash. But what he's doing, or what he did, was offer a veil of temptation. This is a veil of temptation now. Is the ice in car entertainment, is it nice? Is it classy? Or is it just crap and nobody's interested?
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? It's like an estate agent once said to me. I used to live in a garden flat in London, and next door had bars over their windows. And an estate agent said to me, "Oh, I wouldn't do that. It makes it look like you've got something worth stealing." Which I think is a fair point.
Totally. You've got to be stealth with your security.
Yeah.
I have I done that? I mean, in the old, if you're a listener who's, I don't know, in your 20s, you will not understand the trauma of having to of radio in-car entertainment theft and CD theft. Come to think of it,
Yeah.
people used to break into your car for the radio, or for the music. Come to think of it, also, or for sunglasses. So
Yes.
because cars could be broken into with, I don't know, the key from a tin of sardines and a thimble. And so as a consequence, you had to do quite a lot of prep. I mean, nowadays, obviously, there's car theft and people smash windows to grab all sorts of stuff, handbags, etc. And so you don't want to leave anything on display. But back then, it was like, you've got to take the whole damn face off the radio, the face off stereo. We all had a... I still love walking into town or going to the pub with my mates if I was the designated driver, with my car keys and the face off in the I had the Pioneer face off case. It was a badge of honour. You're like, you got a face off? Yes, I have. You're absolutely right. And it's a Pioneer. It's not shit. It's good.
The stereo in my Defender is an aftermarket Pioneer, and that's still got a face off.
Has
I've
it?
got the little plastic face off wallet. What do you call it? Case.
It is a case. Yeah.
Yeah, I've still got it. I've got it somewhere because I never take the face off, and it just seems like, you know, nobody really wants to steal a single din cheapo radio.
Well, it's easier to steal all of the doors of your Defender instead.
Well, it is, yes, and frankly, but all of the doors are probably worth more money as well. So the stereo is just slim pickings.
It is. Was that actually the factory fit radio, or did it not come with the radio?
It's a weird thing, but those Defender Heritages didn't come with any kind of stereo. They came with speakers and pre-wiring, but no head unit.
I think I remember
I don't know why.
I remember us having this conversation. It's a very odd option for a run-out model that's going to be highly revered. It's almost like they went, you choose.
Well, they sort of did. I feel that's what it was.
You choose.
I mean, the spec on that car is a bit odd because it's got heated seats, but no stereo as standard. And but the thing is, it's good because it meant I could put a DAB radio in, which at the time, I think if you had a factory stereo in a Defender, it didn't come with that. So it was actually, it was a good thing. But it's odd at the same time because I can't think of any other car that comes with no stereo anymore. Oh, except, have you seen these Toyota GR86s that come from Japan that are totally stripped out and they have no stereo and they come on black Steelies?
I have not. Is this an absolute base model?
There's a name for them which I've now forgotten. I saw, in fact, there are some. Bear with me, caller. There are some for sale on
Not admitting.
RC trim. RC stands for race competition. So obviously they're meant the way that you remember Evos and Imprezas used to come like this.
Yes,
because they assume you're going to put some rally or race spec wheels on it. So they just come on cheapo black Steelies.
Yeah,
and then. The funny thing about these GR86 is that they are not actually mega stripped, I guess because they are JDM spec, so they still have air conditioning.
Yeah, that irritates me.
And they look yeah, but you don't live in downtown Tokyo, do you?
No, I don't.
Even you would go, I am a bit toasty now.
I have had some
they've
people...
got a massive blanking plate where the central screen should be.
Because I suppose if you're going to build a proper competition car from a new shell... there's no point in sort of filling a bin with loads of brand new parts, is there? So it is.
No,
exactly. I like that. Wouldn't it be great if they did? Is it called RC trim? Did you call it RC spec?
Yeah.
Imagine if you could buy quite a mundane car in RC spec. Because I do wonder whether we're going back to that. I know we've talked about it before. I just don't understand why manufacturers waste so much time baking in so much infotainment software into a car when it kind of is null and void within 2 years. And then you've got this really big, heavy thing, which seems a bit like ancient compared to the phone in your pocket.
Yeah, I think some car makers, like Renault with that last Twingo, the rear-engine one, had the right idea, which is that your phone is the central screen. There's a mount for it.
Totally.
And a connection.
Yeah.
And you could even bring up, I think there was an app, there was a Twingo app, and if you brought that up on your phone... If it was plugged into the car could even, you have gauges, you have a boost gauge and stuff on it. I mean, there was a hilarious amount of lag, like between what the car was doing and what the gauges were showing you, because the connection obviously wasn't that fast. But it's a nice idea all the same.
Was it 80s lag? Are we talking like?
It was turbo lag, but the turbo lag on the boost gauge rather than on the
actual engine
itself. These GR86s with the RC spec, what's interesting is that the seats, they've got cloth seats, which I think is great, but they're still quite buckety because I seem to remember those like Evo 6s or 7s that were available like this. I think they just had like really basic chairs out of an ordinary Lancer because, again, they assume you're putting a proper racing seat in.
Yeah, they're putting
I guess there's no equivalent. There's no base model GR86 with like really flat, plain seats in it. So they've still got to give you a decent seat. So you could totally just drive this as
it's like a taxi. Car, it's taxi spec. Like the German cars used to have taxi spec. I know we talked about German taxis the other week. And actually, funny enough, I got back from Frankfurt last night.
Oh yeah,
on a very quick job. Woke up in the. I got to the hotel next to one of those airport hotels. Got there when it was dark. Woke up when I was going down for breakfast, noticed, I looked out the window, right next to the hotel was a piece of waste ground where there was obviously a popular gathering spot for Frankfurtian taxi guys. And there was 60, that horrible custody colour we were talking about, mostly Mercedes, all lined up. Yeah. Next to a hedge on a piece of waste ground, there was a scattering of cheap plastic garden chairs, where they'd obviously been like meeting up to play cards or whatever German taxi drivers do. And we also noticed that 6 of the drivers had got out their car and they were walking around all the cars, like doing a sort of basic exercise, like in prison where they make you get up in the morning, go out and walk around the yard a few times. Almost doing that together as a little gang, walking around.
But it makes sense.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's great. It's great. And I was 8 floors up, so I didn't see in much detail, but I was trying to work out how many drawstring tracky bottoms were in there. And just all the real taxi driver basics, like who's wearing drawstring tracky bottoms out of all those guys. There might have been women there. I most of the people I saw, I'm pretty sure, were guys. But and also, what's the sort of ratio of BO? Bearing in mind, it's 7:30 in the morning. So have they done an all-nighter, and they're just gonna push through and do the rush hour as well? Or if they just come on shift and they're nice and fresh, or if they just come on shift and they were running a bit late and they just didn't have time to wash, and they're just going to go for a wet wipe job, centre console. They know they've got a pack of wet wipes in there just in case of any chundercats at night, and they just think, So, it was good to see. But they were doing these circuits, and I was thinking, who's chipped in and bought the and bought the garden furniture? Was it a sort of sweepstake? Was it a syndicate?
Yeah. Maybe it's been handed down through generations of Frankfurtian cabbies. That's like legacy garden furniture. It's been there since the 80s.
Yeah, it could have been. And it's all quite brittle and UV damaged, which we've all experienced. I've sat on some UV damaged plastic garden furniture before, and I know it's not just going to bend a bit, it's just going to go.
Yeah.
It's going to just go.
You're past the bending point. It's just, he's knackered. Well, I don't know. I was going to ask how many moustaches there were, but I guess you couldn't really see from where you were.
I couldn't see, but I could see because I could see smoke. There was some smoking, and we know. Vaping. I just don't think vaping's much of a thing in Germany. I might be corrected on this by any better informed. You can
still smoke indoors in Germany legally, can't you? I know a lot of places don't allow it, but I think it's not been prohibited the way that it has here.
Yeah,
is that right?
I don't know the exact rules. All I know is my brother said to me recently, because he goes over to Germany every month for work, he said, smokers are still treated like adults in Germany. You've made your choice, you know the dangers, you know it's naughty, but you're going to keep toking anyway, and that's okay with you. Where he said, "There's no strawberry flavoured nonsense. It's all just straight down the line. 20 fags, boom, done."
25. I remember when I used to smoke going to Germany, and they sold packs of 25, which was a novelty at the time. But
the guy I did the TVR barn find that I talked about the other week, which thanks to everybody that's left a comment in the YouTube about maybe someone having a bit of a gooseneck in the those words were not mine, someone else's. Great video considering you had a gooseneck in the departure house. And just awful. But the old chap who owned the TVR, who helped us pull it out with his mini digger, he was 82. He was interviewed on camera, called Nigel. He didn't look 82, actually. I think he looked in really good shape, considering he's been smoking since he was like 17. And he did 40 cigs a day.
Bloody hell.
40. And I just kept looking at him throughout the day. Bear in mind, it was a very hot day, okay? And I was chugging water where possible. Because
let me guess.
I don't like beer. And he must have had...
Not a drop.
Yeah, like if there was a little bit of sweat on his top lip and it rolled into his mouth, and it was like the equivalent of recirc on the HVAC system.
We probably go, and just spit it out.
Yeah.
Some moisture entered my body. That's no good.
How can you smoke almost non-stop, not drink any water, and not either be dead or have just a chronic migraine? I just don't know.
Exactly.
The human body's
there
amazing.
Must have been no saliva in his mouth. Did he click when he talked? just dry mouth.
Clicked. Do you know what? Tortoises click. They've got their sort of beak clicks sometimes when they're really going for it, trying to eat something. But maybe there's not a great deal of moisture going on. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
No. Well, but heavy smoking.
Heavy,
and
German.
Also being of a generation that renounces water as some kind of
proper. We've talked
work of evil.
I know it's been mentioned numerous times before, but Tiff Nadal, the disgust on his face when he used to see me drinking large bottles of water on set for Fifth Gear. It was just in his own words. It was like, what are you doing? Just such a waste of time, because you're going to need to wee that out in the next half hour. I'm like, I know, Tiff, that's the way the human body works. You've got to put stuff in, stuff will then come out. That's the way it is.
On a hot day, I mean, he must have got back to the hotel after a shoot, gone for a wee, and just like a solid orb of amber just came out. It's like one of those ones where they keep put spiders in them for display purposes.
A lozenge.
A lozenge of amber.
He could whittle his own amber gear knob and sell it as Nidell post-race piss.
Piss amber. It's just, piss amber. But it's something. No, I'm not having any water. I'm going to go and lick this dust off a shelf. That's what I'm going to do. Just really dry myself out.
Don't they give cows in fields blocks of salt to lick at certain parts of the year? I've seen that.
I think they do.
Big salt block.
Yeah,
I might get Tiff one of those.
Yeah.
A big salty block. So when he's taking people on drift days, and he's been in the car for hours, refusing water naturally.
Yeah, of course.
He could just lick a little salty block.
Or is it horses? Is it horses?
They have sugar lumps, horses, don't they?
Well, the horses of popular imagination. Are you supposed to give horses sugar lumps?
I don't know. Come to think of it, maybe Tiff is a horse because the most of the favoured drinks when I worked with him, it was and I've said this before, it was ideally a double espresso with a Red Bull chaser, no normal water, straight in the car, 10/10. Done. Amazing. Yeah. Whereas meantime, I mean, I'd be dilating 7 centimetres after those two bad boys. Last thing I want to do is get in a BMW 4 Series and try and light them up whilst the rest of my body's having none of it. But that's what makes him him.
Good. Well, I'm glad we got that sorted again.
We need to just quickly go back to airport-related matters, because I noticed this as well 24 hours ago. I've written down ill-fitting airport trousers. I noticed that a huge amount of staff at Heathrow, security, baggage check, all sorts. We're talking about men as well. They were all men in this instance. None of them seemingly were wearing trousers that fitted them. And I just couldn't understand why. It's one of those things where, I don't know, you've gone on a camping trip and someone's thrown your bag into a river and you need to borrow someone else's trousers. And you've just gone, but Rich, the thing is I'm 32 waist and you're 36 waist. Oh, and you're also significantly taller than me. Yeah, but this is all I've got.
It doesn't matter.
So put it on. Yeah. And then you put it on and there's just so much material gathering around the bottom. And you've had to fold over the waistband a bit and really crank up the belt to just kind of hold it together. It just doesn't look right.
Do you remember when the Top Gear did the North Pole special, where Jeremy and James drove to the magnetic North Pole, racing Richard on a dog sled?
I do.
And where did they meet? I didn't go on that one. It was in the place in Canada. Was it Resolute? Maybe it was the start point. And they were in the sort of hotel or hostel-y place wherever they were sleeping the night before they started, and they had this Arctic survival expert guy on hand. And I think it was James May who first noticed he had incredibly ill-fitting trousers. And they developed this theory because he didn't go with them. He was there to sort of train them beforehand and then to check everyone had got, all their kit right. And then he sort of waved them off. And they were like, James hatched this theory that while they were gone, this bloke went through everyone's luggage and nicked their trousers. And he didn't care whether they were too big or too small. He was just
free trousers.
A trouser squirrel. He just wanted to hoard all of the trousers.
What?
They never saw him wearing trousers that actually fitted properly. But I don't know. Maybe some people hate shopping because if you ever go clothes shopping,
yeah.
one of the worst things you have to do is try on trousers, because it means you've got to remove your shoes first, and it's a faff, isn't it? You just kind of go, So maybe some people just go in the shop and they go, these look all right, and then they pay for them and take them, and then they don't fit properly, but they can't be asked to take them back. So that's it. You've got to live with the wrong size trousers.
Ill-fitting trousers. Yeah.
But if you're wearing work trousers, as in it's like they're company-supplied trousers, they're basically company trousers, aren't they? Like you'd have a company car. Some people get company trousers.
God, I've never thought of it like that. Company car, yes.
Well,
company trousers,
yes. The keys to you. Yeah. But maybe that's the thing. You know, sometimes people start a new job. They're entitled to a car. And they're thinking, oh, I'm going to get my new car soon. What they do is they go, well, your car actually is going to take like 9 weeks to arrive. So, but don't worry, because someone's just left the company and you can have their old Vectra until your new car arrives. Maybe these airport employees say, no, your company trousers aren't ready. But don't worry, someone left last week, and although he was a foot taller than you and incredibly thin, you can wear his trousers. Otherwise, I don't understand. Why would you not have
Heathrow's trouser supplier? They're all mislabeled. So when you've got the job and they go, right, so what sort of shirt size are you on average? You'll go, oh, well, I'm like a 16 neck, long in the arm, kind of 42-inch chest. They'll go, right, okay. And they enter it into their system, but because it's all been mislabeled, because they got a job lot about 10 years ago and it's still a warehouse full of them. Or they just go through all the lost property that's been in there for more than 2 years, and they rack it all. They use a school leaver or a bored work experience person to just rack it all up, and they go, okay, we've got a guy who says he's 42-inch chest, long arms. What you got? And he just goes, well, there's a shitload of holiday clothing. We need to pick something fairly plain. You just...
Yes, your first day on security at Heathrow Terminal 3 and you're wearing a pair of pink tracky bottoms with Orlando, Florida written down them.
Do you know what? That
doesn't set the right tone.
That's perfect. I just thought that the whole lost property apparel would be perfect at a racetrack, at a track day. You turn up at a track day and you just go, look, I'm trying to do this on a budget. I haven't got a race suit, but I believe, in the spirit of trying to encourage people into the sport, we can get there. There might be a basket full of stuff I can have a rifle through. You get there, and it's just full camel toe central race suit syndrome. You put it on, you just go, I basically can't even lift my shoulders because I'm going to just cheese wire my downstairs. So therefore, you have to drive and walk around like you've got extremely bad back. Like Jules Holland. You have posture like Jules Holland.
Oh,
just so that you can...
You've been hunched over playing honky-tonk piano for your whole life.
And so just so that your Nomex kind of passes scrutineering and you can get, or scrotumeering, and you can get in the car and drive it.
There's always the possibility that Heathrow's head of uniform simply does not listen and just go, and I'm 42 chest, so 32 inside leg and 32 waist, and they just go, yeah, whatever. Just gives you like a mate of me used to have this joke about going into a pub, like a sort of classic after work drink. Everyone goes to the pub for some reason. It's someone's birthday or something like that, and a generous boss goes up to the bar and goes, right, what's everyone having? But we always used to have this joke. I don't know, it was kind of like a sketch almost that we'd come up with, where he's going, okay, so gin and tonic, glass of white wine, you just want like mineral water, yeah, okay, and another glass of white wine, pints of bitter, yeah, okay, and rum and coke, yeah, and a gin and orange, okay, yeah, and then just turn to the barman and go, 18 pints of lager, please, mate. And this for some reason, this used to amuse us. That you just go, there you go. I didn't order that. No, fucking having it. I've ordered 18 pints of lager because I don't give a shit, and I wasn't listening to your complicated orders. And that's probably the head of Heathrow Clothing as well. Just go, I didn't hear any of the numbers you said. Here, I've got you these extra large tracky bottoms that we found left in the ladies' loo last week.
I really hope this is the case.
You need to get out there and wave those little illuminated sticks around to make a 737 come into the terminal, correct?
Meanwhile, your trousers are falling down.
Trousers are falling down. leading to an accident with an aircraft because you had to hold your trousers up with one hand so you couldn't wave your little paddle things around.
The one who just went in and caught the side of the wing on a building. I'm really sorry, mate. I'm really sorry.
Sorry, it's my trousers.
I've just had to hold a belt loop up so I can only use one hand, and meantime the bloke's doing a bit left hand down on the Boeing and just clonks into part of the gantry. Oh, God.
This has just reminded me of many years ago, I went to a wedding where the photographer was incredibly late. He arrived just before the bride when he was supposed to have been there beforehand to take lots of, nice scene-setting pictures and the groom looking nervous at the front and all that stuff.
Oh, my gosh.
And he came clattering into the church. And then, rather than just sort of crack on, he insisted on sort of making a speech to the whole congregation, apologising for his lateness. And it was like, you're just making it worse, mate. Stop it. Stop speaking and shut up. Just take pictures. And then his trousers fell down.
No, they didn't.
He was so hot and flustered, and he'd got like a camera over each shoulder. I think he had a tripod. In my head, he had a stepladder as well, but I might be imagining that. And I think he'd come on the bus with all of his kit, so he was incredibly hot and sweaty, and he was an older chap. But then he was like, oh, sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologise. Yeah, I pride myself on my professionalism. I always prompt, but unfortunately today, just the luck wasn't with me, and I do apologise. I am never normally late, and I do apologise. Just take the pictures. That's all you're supposed to do. And then he sort of turned around to go up to the front of the church, and his trousers came down.
Oh my gosh! It sounds like some sort of comedy sketch from like Vic and Bob,
it was a bit.
Or The Office, or something. Like it was,
yeah. No, it's like, I mean, they didn't it wasn't like round his ankles, but they came down enough that you could see thigh, and he's desperately clawing at his waistband to pull them up again.
Stop it!
Yeah, no, it's things that will live with you to your dying day, and that is one of them. The late photographer with the comedy trousers. Right,
it's a bit like scrutineering. People that do scrutineering and haven't really read up on the new rules, so they just sort of constantly winging it. I'm not going to name when and where, but I have had that before in a race situation where quite an old chap, shall we say, came to look at the car, and you got your helmet and you got your race suit, etc., etc., and basically just had no idea what he was looking at. I might as well have just walked up with a huge statue of a giraffe and just plonked it there and just gone, right, there you go, right, okay, so is it your car? Yeah, it's my car. Yeah, okay. Did you build it? I said, well, some partially, but a lot of it was professionally done. Okay. He basically craned his head in through the driver's door, looked up at the roll cage, and just tapped it with the sort of the ring, one of the rings on his finger. Ting ting. Yeah, that's made of metal.
Yeah, metal, good.
Yes,
not just bog rolls. Sellotape.
Exactly. And then sort of grabbed hold of the bucket seat in the driver's seat and shook it a little bit, but not too much, just a little bit. Just a real kind of. And I looked at my mate Nick, who was my kind of crew man, and basically went, "What the fuck?" And he just looked at me back with just no blinking. Like you don't blink for ages. And it's just like, what's going on? Let's just get through this. Yeah.
I have to ask, by the way, what's this? You sent me this picture of there's a new version of Find Another.
There is a new version. This is important announcement. Find Another is not the only term. There's a Great Pretender. Again, it's for full effect, it's caps lock.
Of course, it has to be caps lock if you're going strident.
This has been sent to me by a listener called Jack Mortimer via Instagram. And Jack has taken a screen grab of a Toyota Celica GT from, it's a 90s one. No, it's an 80s one, 88.
Yeah, it's that really nice aero-y one that was quite pretty, but it's a later one with, I think they looked a bit neater.
They did.
A nice car. It's an 88 on the E. It's 143,000 miles, 2 litre. Ooh.
And there's obviously room in the classified ad to write some descriptives about the car. Richard, can you please tell me what this one says?
It says, well, from the top, it's 5,999. That's strong money, but I suppose, and there's a reason for that, which is highlighted in the one liner. Toyota Celica, 2 litre GT, 3-door. Will not find one again.
I love that. Will not find one
Will
again.
not find one again. I mean, grammatically, that takes some dismantling. It's in sort of will not. There's you will not would have, but it's just will not find one again. It sort of broadens it out that none of us will. Not me,
No
not
one,
you,
not anybody,
anyone.
not anyone
Will not find one again.
I'd understand
Your
it
life's
if
quest.
this chap was a sort of a detectorist and he just found an exceptionally large, complete skeleton of a prehistoric swordfish, and go, you will not find another like this. It just won't happen.
Yeah.
But
Professor,
yeah,
what is it? Will not find one again.
will not find one.
Maybe
again.
this is. I don't know. I was going to go and see that new Indiana Jones film at some point. Perhaps it's a line from that he says it. I don't know. I was just going to look up and see if I could find that ad, because it's actually on Auto Trader. But yes, it's still here. Oh, it's a nice looking car, this. But I wanted to read the rest of the ad.
Don't.
No, it's from a dealer, I believe, because it said, we are proud to present this very rare future classic car. The next line's a doozy. Those who know about the vehicle will definitely appreciate its presence. What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know what it means.
The two-door car is now exclusive, and it's the one an enthusiast would love to have in their collection, or start to build a collection.
Are you joking? Are you making that bit up?
No, I think it feels like it's been written by AI or something.
It does.
It's
I think it's,
everything's slightly off.
this is our first example of AI classified writing. You're totally right.
Interesting.
What do you mean the two-door
Well,
is the one to have? It's like, it's a Celica.
Well, it says the two-door car is now exclusive. I don't know what that means. As in, there are no other ones left. But
There are, though.
that's just... Well, there must be.
There are.
I wonder if... actually, there aren't any other old Celicas on the... I can see. But anyway, that's not the point.
No, it's not the point.
The thing is that I suppose if you are one of those classic dealers that writes a 9,000-word essay about the whole history of the motor car in the run-up to describing... it's usually like a Triumph Acclaim or something, isn't it? But
yes.
Then AI could probably help you, save you a lot of time, because you won't have to write the same dreary essay. You just get a computer to do it, and then you can add a bit of flourish at the end. With the details. It was purchased new by Mr. Stephen Crivens, and fuck off! I'm not interested. Anyway, I was going to see. I remember that chap at the live show who said that when he saw "Find Another" in an advert, he very pointedly went and indeed found some more,
and just
to be able to bargain the price.
And just emailed the link straight to the people.
Yeah, and
oh gosh,
I was just wondering if. With 2 minutes of searching, I can find another one of those Celicas.
Well, that's when you employ the services of
Saranov, there's one here.
Find Another. So
Saranov Find Another.
He jumps.
There's one here, but it is only a 1.6 because that one's a 2 litre and it's slightly earlier.
Don't give him that ammo, because he will go. Yeah, as I just said, you will not find another again.
No, there's a couple more. Yeah. Okay, they're out there. Find Another. Okay,
they're not extinct.
I have. No, they're not. Oh God, there's a Cabrio one here.
Yeah, that was.
Do you remember the Cabrio?
Yeah, I do. Wasn't that Japanese only? Japanese import only?
No, they briefly sold it here, and it was insanely expensive, so nobody bought one. But there is actually one here for sale. It's a UK one.
Wow.
It actually says now they've held off from Find Another. This advert's just gone with. There are very few of these in the UK.
Oh, do you like the term exceptional example of the mark? I do really like example.
It's incredibly pompous.
Example of the mark is one of my favourite descriptives of a vehicle. I do very much enjoy example, because my brother uses it in outside of the car world now, because it's just one of those little brotherly things that we do.
Right.
So he has actually said it before. Or if a very attractive lady walks past, and we've turned to one another, and I've raised an eyebrow, and a Roger Moore way go, exceptional example of the mark.
Now, look, we should wrap this up, not least because you and I are supposed to be on a call with something about something else.
Are we? Sugar Plum Fairy.
Yeah, so that's fine. So we need to wrap this up. But before we go, I have 3 things to tell you quite quickly, in fact. They are: 1, Johnny has a solo YouTube channel. It's called The Suffocate Your Grace Show, in which Johnny attempts to slip a plastic bag over the head of the Archbishop of Canterbury This week, he's lurking around outside Lambeth Palace with a tatty Tesco bag for life, recently used to carry some wellies. If that's not to your taste, there's always the Late Break Show. Lots of excellent videos about cars and people who love them. Barn finds.
We've got a car cave. We've got a lovely car
Right.
cave, and we've got a lovely, depending on when this goes out, we've got a very nice, sweet twin barn find with my brother.
Sweet,
Off of Greg
sweet
Smith
barn find.
and all that.
So there's that. Secondly, it's Goodwood Week, and we will be at the Festival of Speed on Thursday and Friday, possibly a bit of Saturday as well. We're not sure, but we are filming for Goodwood themselves on Thursday and Friday, so we'll be around and debate on the site. If you see us there, come over and say hi, or don't. Just shout abuse if you want.
we might maybe we'll bring some decals with us, some sort of rogue decals.
Yes, we've got loads of those bloody stickers that we made to give away, and so we ordered about 1 million by mistake. So yes, sidle over to us and say "Otsot" or similar, and we will give you a sticker.
Say find another. Find another.
There's another one.
And we'll just go, okay,
So we'll give you a
got
sticker
pocket full.
and go find another. Oh yeah, there's loads. And the third thing I've got to tell you is, Baloo in Jungle Book,
Yes.
the bear.
Yes.
Do you know how he got his name?
No, I mean, it's got to be something to do with a balloon, surely. But
No, it's Baloo is Hindi for bear.
oh, is it?
Yeah,
Gosh,
it's actually spelt differently. Bhaaloo. It would be the spelling in Hindi, but it's the same pronunciation. So yeah, Baloo just means bear in Hindi.
I really like this part of the podcast because you actually furnish listeners with information, whereas I'd say the sort of last 59 minutes or so.
Yes, it's almost just
been
compensating
awful.
people for sitting through all the rest
It's
of
just
it.
been
Yeah.
pure awful.
All right. Well, anyway, that's quite enough of this for now. We will do it all again next week. Probably we'll record something at or near Goodwood, and hopefully we'll see some of you there. But until then, goodbye.
Find another.
Mugs, t-shirts, stickers. Mugs, t-shirts, stickers. Mugs, t-shirts, stickers. We might do hats soon, we haven't decided. This may come as a surprise, but Smith and Sniff have merchandise. You won't believe your eyes. Smith and Sniff have merchandise. Sadly, we don't do pies, but Smith and Sniff have merchandise. One day we might sell ties. Smith and Sniff have merchandise.